Well, let me tell you guys, the PR Club is India's first community of PR and corporate communications professionals and students. Now, to give you an idea, why is this seminar? The idea of this seminar is to help you all get a clue of what is public relations and why this is a career option that should excite you. So, guys, make sure you make the most out of it and also feel free to ask any questions. If you have any questions, raise your hand virtually, or you can also put your questions in the chat box. So, now without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker for this afternoon. We have Aman Thal here. Let me tell you guys, Aman Thal is an Indian communications specialist, widely known for his role in building the InsurTech brand PolicyBazaar.com. The brand became a unicorn in 2018 and has been one of the India's most successful financial startups to emerge since 2008. Aman was named among India's most influential game changers in the corporate communications and PR field. He has been also identified as India's best young talent from the field of marketing and advertising, public relations, and also media. So in various 40 under 40 list. So here we have Aman. Aman, thank you so much for being here with us to join the session, and over to you.
Thank you so very much, Dhanishri, for a very warm welcome. It's always good to hear so many adjectives against what you have achieved in life. And thank you so very much, Hemant, for calling me here. Unfortunately, I wanted a little more quieter place, but due to my car breaking down, I had to stop midway and do this. But anyways, I'm very, very excited to take this session. Let me first introduce myself in a very short way. I'm a storyteller turned story maker. This is how I define myself. An ex-journalist who turned communications professional in the later part of the career. And I think my journey has been amazing in terms of my learning from being a journalist to becoming a publicist, and how this profession has evolved in the last 2-3 decades, especially with the social media emerging, how the content is exploding. The opportunities are immense, and I think when I entered journalism, my reasons for entering it was, making some kind of a difference to storytelling. And I think those opportunities are immense because you don't have to be today tied up with a certain media house to make an impact. You can actually run your own, channel on YouTube or any other social media. So I think opportunities are immense. Let me first actually introduce the profession. For all of you who are actually, what I understand, are 17, 18-year-olds who are doing your undergrad, want to make a career in this field, or if you're trying to make choices, what I understand. So I think public relations, it's a word which has been synonymously used for reputation management, media relations, because the word was coined much more earlier. Public relations, what has happened is, obviously the world has not undergone changes, but obviously what has occurred is a lot of people have defined what they're trying to do through communications in different ways, be it reputation management, be it building brand equity through organic marketing, or be it, calling themselves as publicists. So in different ways, the word has been defined. I think the important aspect is the impact it is making on the brands, because here, in public relations, you're not using any kind of money in terms of paid media. You're not using any kind of paid platform to tell your story. Here, everything you're trying to influence through the power of your story, because everyone sees media houses need content. And as a publicist, you are working with the companies, within the companies or in the agency, to create their stories and tell them to the outer world. And there are again, like you look at the storytelling, be it in the Cadbury's recent advertisement, which is going viral. Obviously, it is, you only see one aspect, which is advertising, but the fact is there is also a whole public outreach that has occurred through social media or otherwise, which where your public relations people are playing a bigger role, a wider role. So yeah, I think what I would like also is, if you people have any questions, please keep coming to me with any kind of questions you have. I'll keep actually narrating my stuff, maybe a little bit take you down my own story, how my career started, where I am today, uh, and again, this career, how what I wanted to achieve, where I am today. Obviously, when we start, things are very very different. Our aspirations are different. Obviously, once you start getting into the profession, you understand much more deeper how different aspects work, and you accordingly mold your career to make it an impactful one or defining one. So I'll just keep asking you, if you have any questions, keep coming to me. In the meanwhile, what I will do is I'll just maybe a little bit narrate about my story, how I entered into this profession, and how did I realize, okay, this is so powerful. This profession is actually making things move quite heavily. Be it in the corporate space or in the business space or in the political space. So let me bring to my story, and I look forward to your questions. So like you people, I was not sure what I wanted to do in my life. Maybe some of people as a 17-year-old, I was a sports person. All I knew was playing sports. At that given time, there were not enough opportunities, and I felt that it's good to get into some academia and like get a job for myself. I came from a lower middle class family, so I was lucky enough that I was a sports person playing at a good level. So and I created some good marks. So I got admission in Delhi University in BCom honors. That at the same time I was very clear that sports is not going to be my career now ahead, because I was really really worried about the fact that I don't know, how the economics will work, whether I'll be able to make that enough money. And these were the times 20 years back when there was not enough private sector money flowing in. Uh, so things were very, very different. The media was very different. So, so I decided, okay, I'm going to do BCom honors and then I'll figure out what I want to do. I think 2 years down the line, I started getting influenced a lot by my professors who were teaching me like, so there was this module which was an extra module, journalism, which we were some of us had opted for, and I really got fascinated by some of my teachers who were commentators. You know, they were commentating at the biggest of events, Olympics, and all that. So I really got fascinated by their aura, be it Narottam Puri or Novi Kapadia or Sita Mishra ma'am. These were the people who were my initial influencers. And obviously, I think it happens, when you take up something, there is a role model in sports also. For me, it was in the beginning Maradona. When I was young, 6-year-old. So I didn't take up football as a profession. I got into table tennis, but I think he had a bigger influence. At times, I think our beginning is like that. When we look up to someone, we get really, really influenced and we get into it. So for me, also it happened. Like I was like, sure, I'm not gonna do. Accounting is fantastic. Mathematics, I know, but I don't think this is a fun profession. I don't want to be. It was not fancy or sexy, whatever, to work in an accounting company. So I thought, okay, let me try this out, and I started writing a lot. I think what I realized was my professor told me that, Aman, you need to write a lot. You contribute to magazine, you do editing. So I dabbled my hand into lot many things around media that time, be it visuals, a little bit of designing. All these things meant that when it came to postgrad, I was very clear that I wanted to opt for a professional course now. So I opted for a postgraduate diploma in journalism from Pioneer University at that time. And again, I think for me it was all about learning, getting to meet the who's who of the industry. There was this whole fascination around going to the best of places, reporting. That exposure was amazing. That time social media was not existing. So that means that exposure was more offline than online, but every little thing was like, mind blowing. And basically, I think in terms of my basics, what I did was, again, my basics were very, very fundamentally strong from the beginning, thanks to my professors who really got me into writing day in and day out. I was reading the best of newspapers from out like around the world, going to my library, ensuring that I grasp how storytelling happens, how journalists write breaking stories, or for a matter of fact, how do you write a feature? You know, there are there are different ways you can write a feature. So I would observe a lot, a Wall Street Journal or a Financial Times or an independent paper or an Indian Economic Times. So I'll explore a lot. I also used to look at television journalism at that given time. Obviously, Rajdeep Sargosai, uh, Nalini Singh, these were the superstars back then. Uh, and again, like I would look at how they would tell, how they would actually go and anchor on the television. So it was very, very interesting, fascinating days. Once I entered journalism in 2000, I was the first one to get a job from my institute back then, and I was really happy. I got a Delhi bureau. I got to. It was I didn't get a sports beat. I wanted to do sports journalism, but what I got was a chance to work in the National Bureau of a Karnataka-based publication called Vijay Times, which got later bought by Times of India and later rebranded as Bangalore Mirror. But it was fascinating. My first beat was Parliament, BJP. For a person who used to dislike politics, it was an amazing, amazing experience. I still remember my first boss. Uh, I came back after a briefing from BJP. I think Prakash Javadekar, Prakash Mahajan were there, and I came back. I was like, I'm not sure I understood anything. How would I write a story out of this? But my again, like my boss Shri Krishna was amazing. He told me, okay, what did you understand? Why don't you write? Just write. I'll clear it. Like I'll clean it up. Don't worry about it. When I started writing, I wrote the story. No, I think it happened other ways. He said, "What do you think was the story?" I started narrating him, and he started actually writing the story for me. Uh, and I told him, what I felt was a good story to be told, and he actually wrote it down. What it meant was, he said after he wrote the story, he said, "Okay, this is the story. You were amazing." I said, okay, this was great for me. You gave me a lot of confidence with this, but I'm not too sure. But actually, when I saw that story next day going to the main editor and publishing in one of the political pages, I felt really on the top of the world. Actually, I could make sense. And again, I think these were little things really helped. But I think majorly what I realized was, while you might think you are a one beat wonder, in media there are ways of telling stories. There is no one way. Uh, there is a way to tell a news story. There is a way to tell a feature. But there are obviously multiple aspects within it. Obviously, how do you make numbers shine in a story, in a financial story? Now, how do you make a sports hero look larger than life? How do you go back down their journey and break it down in terms of what was the trigger point for them to really succeed in their career as a sports person, or was it that nutrition aspect, or was it that something this person did in the gym which made him where he is today. All those little things you learn. Again, I think these are things you learn from reading a lot. And again, I'm talking a lot more about print journalism here. But again, I think I'm talking a lot more journalism because these were the seeds that were sown for me after doing hardcore 6 years of journalism. By the time I entered into communications, I remember when I was hired in Policy Bazaar, I didn't have any formal background in PR. Obviously people expect journalists to be uh, you know there is a certain advantage provided. There is a perception that journalists make for good comms people, though I disagree about that. It is more about understanding the profession and making those necessary changes to shine. But anyways, when I went Policy Bazaar, I had clue about story making. I had clue about how business runs because I had done my own venture before that. I had clue about uh, how the stakeholder management is done. So all these experiences came also because after my journalism stint, after having polished myself in editing, story writing, uh, having run my own business, I had a much more deeper understanding overall of the ecosystem. That really helped when I joined Policy Bazaar. I think someone has a question. Someone, is it? Or should I carry on?
No, no question so far.
Okay, great. I'll carry on. So basically, I think by the time I joined Policy Bazaar, those multiple exposures really helped. I told him that, okay, I was very honest, I don't know, but I know I'm confident about because I know this stuff. Basically, story writing, editing. I understand the media very deeply. Which story needs to be pitched to whom, and how to do stakeholder management. I was like, I've not done this, but I'm fairly confident. It's no rocket science. And actually, frankly speaking, I was very lucky. I was working with a person who had earlier worked in PR, basically hardcore public relations agency. So that was helpful for me because she was my learning ground. She told me about a lot of different aspects which I learned from her. Especially even like terms. I remember I didn't know about the term boilerplate. A lot of these little terms I learned, but I think that actually matters, and still it doesn't matter. What actually matters is how you are presenting yourself, how you are pushing your story forward. Because see, eventually today I feel public relations, while traditionally it has been defined more as uh, working towards media relations and media visibility. I think a true publicist is somewhere representing themselves in a much more wider domain. It's not only about just pushing a story to a media or getting a coverage out of it. How you are building a narrative. What's a larger narrative that you want to build for the company? What are the micro narratives you want to build on a quarterly or a half yearly basis, which you can push to different, through different mediums, be it externally or internally. Because it's no longer about media. Today, there are influencers on YouTube or Instagram, depending upon the brand you are part of. You need to do much more beyond. So public relations has evolved into a wider integrated communication. The major role being reputation management and ensuring that your brand equity is going up. How do you are ensuring that you are putting some kind of a metric around it? And again, there are metrics available in the market. It's not necessarily it needs to be an industry metric. It has to make sense. It has to make sense to the business owner or the company, uh, because eventually they should look at and see the impact is really making a difference to their brand or to their business. A story coming just doesn't mean it adds value to a brand. How it is impacting sales or the brand influence in the minds of the consumer. That is what matters a lot. So again, there are different ways, and again, I don't want to confuse you people because you are early starters. I think all I will say is what is very important at an early stage when you are trying to enter this profession is, uh, you know, look at one, the field you want to specialize in. Today is the day and age where you need to be master of all. At the same time, you need to specialize as one. Basically, you need to be jack of all trades, master in one. You can't be master of none. So choose your field, ensure building your skills around it, and once you enter the profession, once you enter, your undergrad, once you enter your post grad, you will have a lot of exposure. The good thing is today, okay, why do you think Gen Z folks are well placed for a career? I think storytelling comes very naturally to them. One very good question. Storytelling comes very naturally to them. They are already very much exposed to social media. They would have their own channels already. I think what they need is more one, how does organic growth happens? What are the keywords here again? Like, while you might know how to tell a story, while you might know how to influence in your little ecosystem? How do you go beyond it? Is it like more picture centric, or is there a substance around your story? A lot of times on social media, while it might look you are carrying some kind of an influence, it might not be genuine influence because uh, at times what happens is, even like, I'm just giving you an example of myself. I might be randomly surfing and I might like some picture, right? But that doesn't mean I'm really really influenced by their story. I'm just genuinely liking that person, right? I might have some kind of a relationship or might be a my friend. But to actually really create your own story, you need storytelling. And I think the good thing is you people are much more aware about the digital tools than the past generation. You have been born in that generation when already, like, the 4Gs and 5Gs were there, mobile and smartphones were existing. So internet access was not a problem. And again, I think there are so many tools available today. And I look at my juniors and I'm always learning from them. So that way, I think you have got all the tools and they're understanding very very quickly. I think what a school does is it polishes you. It it really helps you understand how organic growth hacks happen. What are the mediums? How do they work? Beyond obviously, what you might be already doing. It also gives you an exposure to different people's journey or different people's experiences. I think the good thing is there is a lot of practical based learning happening today, apart from obviously you doing projects. I think there is a great exposure. There are so many people who are coming to the classes, sharing their own experiences. In the little ways, they might help you with something. Something which stays with you throughout your life or throughout your career. For me, again, like those little things mattered a lot. Wherever I again, like, I had my own fascinations. And again, I think I feel believe, especially when it comes to profession, the initial influence starts with role models. Obviously, there is also your inherent, sometimes the genes or sometimes the things you are closely surrounded with in the beginning that draws your interest. So I think it's a very very interesting field as a profession. There is no day which is similar. There are so many challenges, which is also fun at the same time. And again, I think this this profession is going to grow immensely. Uh, so many startups are coming into foray. There's so much now because there is a content explosion. The organic content, those who will be masters of it, are those who will be able to penetrate media outreach organically. I think they will really really shine because things are moving towards paid. It's going to become very very integrated, and I think obviously in your course also you're going to learn more integrated stuff. Obviously because uh, public relations has been called as such. So we've been still continuing with defining public relations all the time. But yeah, I think it's a much more wider profession. It's a much more wider profession. So yeah, I think I'll open up this floor for questions. Uh, I'm happy to answer your questions. Anything around public relations, career, any kind of thing you want to ask. Can
Yeah,
you
we have
share
one
one?
question, Aman.
Okay, can you share one of your best experience doing? Sorry, I think I lost it. Can you repeat the question? I think I lost. I can't see the text box here.
Can
Email
you
it went
share
off.
one of your best experiences doing PR?
Okay. Um, I think there are many. I had much more fun doing crisis. Then, so obviously there are many. Again, I think Uh, I think let me talk about a crisis which came out of nowhere. It was fun managing it because when a crisis comes, you are not prepared. Uh, I think let me tell you this little story. Uh, okay, let me take this one up. Uh, Basically, my founder Yashish, he joined. Uh, there's a company called Pitso uh, as an advisor on the advisory board, on the board of directors, I think. So everything was done. We were talking to their PR agency and finalizing everything. The release went that he has joined the advisory board and everything. And I think the next day there was a flash uh, that Yashish has quit Policy Bazaar and joined this. It was mayhem for us. Where did this come out from? How did this happen? Uh, and I think I remember that morning. Uh, 5,000 people not sure about what is happening within the company. Your founder, your face of the organization is leaving. That's what it transpired. So I remember, I think the first thing, without even thinking about anything else, when I saw the story was, right on the internal communications that Yashish is very much confused and needs correction. And we quickly, Yashish was also interestingly traveling at that time. He was somewhere, I think, near Kasoli or in Shimla, not reachable. Uh, so I think first thing I did was, internal comms, and we were talking to the co-founder and others, to also, do a quick call with their own teams to make them understand, okay, uh, this is just a wrong story. And plus, I think by the time, I quickly posted a message to Yashish, this is what has happened, and why don't you do a video from wherever you are, which we can actually one play it internally, because I think when before trying to reach out externally, my belief is internal is external. You need to first give confidence to your own employees that everything is well. So I think first thing what we did was to tell internally that everything is good, and we got this message out internally, because see what happens is when people start sharing on social media, uh, one you are sending out a statement to media, the story is wrong, they will take their own sweet time and issue a corrigendum. And another is your own employees, and a lot of people start talking about in the social media. So anyways, we did this, we spoke to the person, the journalist. I was like, where did you get the story from? So this person, I don't know, must have had some follow-up questions, asked the person, whosoever was there. I don't know what happened, what this person said. She construed that Yashish has left Policy Bazaar. Anyways, we spun it around. We got into action very quickly. We did a lot of social media work that day. The good thing was, we spun it around in the sense, a lot of media was talking to us that day about, what happened and all that kind of stuff. It gave us a lot of organic space. That day, I think it was in 2016 or 17, it was not a unicorn company. It used to be, you have to be consistently tell your story. It was much more difficult to get media to talk about you. That day, we were all over the space. And this was one question. We were able to tell through four questions what we were doing at Policy Bazaar that was disrupting the insurance space. So it turned out to be amazing for us. It turned out to be an amazing story, because kind of crisis turned into a great PR for us. And I think we did some memes also. I think it was fun. We turned it, and I think there again, it really depends on the organization. People, are they really worried about it, or are they making it okay? Let's sort this out. Let's see, what can we do constructively. So I think it was fun for us as a team. We were very well knit. Uh, I think the first thing was for me. It was I was laughing. Oh man, what has this happened? But again, I think it was a great situation to be in, because I think these are opportunities you remember for a lifetime, and there are so many such crises. Those that came out of nowhere. But I think these were fun. For me, these were fun. We got to shine. We were able to manage them well. then again, I think one of my best, I think apart from PR, I think I say I was a journalist, and again, I think PR folks are also lucky that way. I get to travel to Siachen. I was covering defense beat in my first job. I think it was a experience out of the world. The civilians don't get to go to Siachen. I was chosen by my media house. There were very few selected people who went, so it was an amazing journey and documenting life, documenting some features on the work that is happening there on the defense side, or be it the human side, the human stories. So those two were amazing pieces. And then there are immense, so many stories. No one I can say that this is like my best one. Any other question?
So I think here what we can do is, guys, if you have any more questions, you can reach out to Aman on Twitter. Let's do that, because since we are running short of time, yes. And Aman, thank you so much for sharing your
I'm
insights.
Twitter
Yes,
and LinkedIn, or I'm both I'm places I'm active. So you can reach out to me there.
sure, we'll do that. Thank you so much, Aman. Thank you once again for sharing your insights on this topic. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dhanashree. Hope I made some sense. Thank you,
Sure.
everyone. All the very best for your future, everyone. Thank you, Hemant.
Thanks, Aman.
All right, so guys, I'm sure you've had great learnings out of this session. And so at this point of time, we have something, a great opportunity for you, because we're going to do a short quiz. All right. And the one who comes with quick answers will get a chance to attend, or will get a chance to access one of the world's largest PR summits, which is Spectra, which is happening on this 23rd, 24th, and 25th this month. So this is a great opportunity, and I'm going to quickly ask you one question. The one who knows the correct answer, please, you know, you can put your answers in the chat box there. All right. So the quick question is, who said the phrase PR is 90% action and 10% communication? What do you think, guys? Who said this phrase called PR is 90% action and 10% communication? We're going to give you 2 minutes. Quickly put your answers in the chat box. The one who answers it correctly gets a chance to attend the world's largest PR summit, which is Spectra. So, well, while you do that, let me introduce you to our next speaker. Her name is Lynn Mistake, who will show you what it's like to work in PR relations and corporate communications, and what a typical PR campaign looks like. Lynn Mystic was born and brought up in Port City, which is Bangalore. Her education doors enabled her to develop skills while engaging in many extracurricular activities, including business challenges, music, model United Nations, theater, and event management at a competitive level. She is currently working as a PR consultant as she pursued her bachelor's in commerce from St. Agnes Institution and master's program from Schools of Communications and Reputation. She's also a she's very, very passionate, I must say, about her art and culture. So she's right here with us. So over to you, Lynn. So Lynn is right here. And so guys, if you have any questions, you can ask her and you can put it in the chat box. Let's see how many of you answered the question correctly. All right. So let me tell you all the correct answer. We can probably take 2-3 of them. Will get a chance to access the PR summit. All right. So there we go. We're still waiting for some correct answer. Lynn, yes, Lynn is here.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about the network.
No problem.
Hi guys, and thank you so much, Dhanashree, for this wonderful warm welcome. Means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I hope you all are doing well. If you guys could just put your camera on, it would be great. I mean, we could have like an interactive session amongst each other. Is there anyone willing to be on camera? Hi guys. Hi, Richa. Thank you so much for being present here. Okay, I think we'll start off. So let me just go back to 2015, not 2018, to be very honest, when I just graduated out in college. And I didn't exactly know what I was supposed to do. So I had a bachelor's in commerce, just as the tree told you all about it. But I didn't know exactly what else to do because I hadn't prepared myself for any of the competitive exams to maybe enroll for an MBA. And there I was clueless. But luckily, at that point of time, I met one amongst the most prominent individuals in the world of Indian PR. That's Mr. Amit Prabhu, who also happens to be my mentor today alongside Mr. Hemant, who introduced me to the world of public relations and just gave me a glimpse as to how the entire process of him being a lawyer to a PR professional transitioned over the years, and he was able to make a mark in this particular career. When I went back home and decided what exactly PR is all about, how exactly the day in an individual's in a PR individual's day goes on an everyday basis, I realized that this is exactly what I somehow wanted to do because it had an amalgamation of everything that I was very passionate about. Because whenever you choose a career, it's very important that you make choices about something you're passionate as well as the same thing that helps you pay your bills. The reasons why I chose PR as a career was because PR was able to give me that entire platform as to where I could explore and do what I wanted to do. Maybe it was something to do with content, and I'm a people's person, so PR helped me reach out to a lot of new faces on a daily basis and explore a lot of campaign opportunities and a lot of campaign ideas. So that's one of the reasons why I happened to choose a career. Let me come to the college, to the academic journey of it. So I'm completed a master's from School of Communication and Reputation. Whenever you get into a college, what exactly you expect from a college is a normal academic season where you have a ton of subjects to study, a ton of books, and maybe you memorize a whole thing, have exams that appear on a quarterly basis, and that's how life moves on, right? But my academic experience was completely a different one, which gave me an opportunity where I was able to learn. It was more like learning on the job, where I exactly lived the life as a student, but exactly like what a PR professional lived. So now, if you guys are very interested to know what goes in the day of a PR professional, we have very early mornings, which starts off with media updates and tracking news for our competitors, tracking news for our clients, figuring out why are they in the news for, what exactly their competitors are doing. So it starts off in a basis where we track news updates for them and share it with the client. And then the rest of the day goes very unplanned. I mean, we do have a task list to do, like maybe a certain set of things, maybe like working on a campaign, maybe working on stories, like a media outreach kind of a procedure. Things that we're not really prepared for are random things that come up, like maybe like a negative news about your client, which can actually lead to a crisis where your entire day can go for a toss where you're just working on how in order to curb it. Towards the end of this discussion, obviously, I'll be showing y'all some of the campaigns which I have worked on. To give you a gist of what exactly I do, I earlier worked with MSL Group, which is one of the big fours in the PR industry. Worked in the healthcare vertical. So now, again, this has a very interesting story. All through my school and all through college, healthcare was one such vertical which I was running away from because I thought I was not really meant for it. But to be very honest, that eventually over the years when PR happened and by default I was put into the healthcare vertical, I just had this entire experience which was really out of the world, which actually got me so passionate about it that today I'm really wanting to choose a career in healthcare PR so that I could do something and leave a mark in that sector. Uh, uh, any questions do you guys have before I go ahead? Nothing? Anything that you all would like to know? Cool. So I'll take that as a no. Uh, I would like to present some slides to you all basis the type of campaigns that I have worked on. So to just give you a gist, I have worked on clients like PD Hinduja Hospital, pharmaceutical clients like BDR Pharmaceuticals, Cipla Pharmacy. So these are some of the slides I would like to present. If you all could just give me access to screen sharing.
You got it.
Oh, thanks. Okay, guys, for some very strange reason, I'm not able to speak when I'm presenting my screen. So I would like to tell you all about the different type of work we do with regard to content and crisis and whenever we're dealing with our clients. So with regard to content, as I told you all that I was really passionate about writing. PR actually gave me the opportunity to create and curate content for my clients and put stories out about them out there with the media. So, with regard to one of my first clients, that was PD Hinduja Hospital, which I consider to be my baby. Now, when you think of doing a building reputation for a hospital, is there anything that pops up into your minds that you all think that you guys could do in order to tell the story of your brand out there to the readers? Is there any idea y'all have or anything that y'all would like to share? No? Okay. So on a daily basis, I'm just taking an example for one of my clients that's feeding in the hospital. On a daily basis, we had bizarre things to do on a regular basis. So when it comes to a hospital, what exactly you can expect is on a stakeholders front, you build reputation for to some of the prominent leadership team members who actually speak about the hospital on the revenue front. And then we have doctors who'd like to share awareness on certain world health days or certain diseases. For now we have the COVID pandemic going on, so we have doctors as a stakeholders who actually build reputation around the disease and speak about their research in the field. And then suddenly we can also expect a crisis like having one of the first prominent cases during the COVID pandemic that just emerged out of the hospital. So during my tenure, when I was actually handling this client, I saw it all. Maybe it was speaking about healthcare on a regular basis, if it was something to do with World Heart Day, for example, we have something called World Alzheimer's Day today, where every news channel and every news portal is raising awareness on the disease. This is something what exactly a PR person does, where they try to build a relationship with the doctor as well as the journalist, where they weave this entire story and speak about the same to them. So I'll just be showing one of the crisis slide to you all, and I'll be explaining the same to you all once I share it with you all. So this particular slide that I'm going to show depicts the entire notion we went through during the COVID-19 pandemic. This was somewhere during the start of March 8th, 2020, where the first ever COVID positive patient was tested positive at PD Hinduja Hospital, and the news just broke out and the news was everywhere. It was just a normal Friday when we all got back home, thinking that we were going to spend the weekend in an amazing way, and we had the weekend planned the way we wanted to. But then the news just emerged up where the news channels broke out the fact that the hospital has found a patient who's been tested positive because there was someone who had actually gone and communicated the same out to the media houses. And the entire weekend was spent where we were sitting and just working around how to just minimize the crisis, curb the crisis, and educate the media and let people know not to panic, and there's always a solution out of the whole thing. We worked around the same crisis with regard to the COVID-19 pandemic for a span of 4 months, from having the first patient tested positive for COVID, from the hospital almost getting sealed because there was no cure to coronavirus at the start of the pandemic because nobody was really informed about it, to the hospital getting a lot of notices from the BMC for being accused for overcharging the hospital bills. So we saw it all. Uh, some of the ways we curbed the crisis was drafting a lot of statements where we would immediately choose a very reactive approach whenever a negative news article came out, and we presented the same to the media and told them as to what exactly was going on, which actually helped us pull down the news and get things in our control. We also managed to build a relation with prominent members like Mr. Aditya Thackeray from the Maharashtra government, who was actually supporting us by raising awareness, by spreading, the actual information amongst public through his social media handles. So I will just be showing one slide, and I'll be telling you all as to what, how exactly we do a media approach, and how exactly PR is very different compared to marketing and advertising, because ultimately when we all speak about that we're PR professionals, we have this feeling that all the other sectors are interconnected in their way, right? So I would like to tell you all about it, but before that I'll just show the slide. Apologies that I won't be able to speak because of some technical glitch in my system, but in case you'll have any doubts, please do drop in your comments in the chat box. I hope you all be able to see the slide. Do you all have any doubts on the same?
I think there are no questions.
Okay, no questions yet. All right, perfect. So what do we exactly do on a daily basis? We have whom do we consider as as our stakeholders when we are PR professionals? We have two very important stakeholders. If you look at it very broadly, one are our clients, and and the others are the journalists. So we play as very important mediators in order to build a relation with our clients and our journalists, so that we help weaving better stories and uh, make people understand stories about our brand and what exactly do we want to communicate out to the viewers. For example, I mean, let's take World Alzheimer's Day or World Heart Day for an example. What is our role as PR professionals? We sit and brainstorm campaigns, or we brainstorm awareness articles about the particular days as to what exactly people need to know and people need to educate themselves about. Later, pick up the exact stakeholders who are actually writing on these particular topics, pitch the stories to them, and then get the doctors, speak to the journalists, or we draft the articles. That's where content writing comes into use, because most of the time our stakeholders, that's our clients, do not really have the time to draft in a lot of articles, or provide their insights on paper, because they have work to do as well. So we come and play a significant role over there, where we use our content writing skills to get the articles approved by the doctor and share it with the journalist, and viewers like us get to read about it. So, some of the skills that you need to hone in order to be good PR professionals. And when you are at the job, you're always learning on the job. So you don't really have to be amazing at what you're doing, but eventually throughout the journey, you will definitely get better. Firstly is content writing. Secondly is proactiveness. When I say proactiveness, you need to be really proactive with regard to knowing what your client is uh, being updated as to what your client is doing on an everyday basis, staying updated as to if anything about your client is out in the news, checking out with their client as to what exactly they want to speak out to the media, or the information that they would like to give out to the media about what they do on a daily basis. Talk to journalists and see if they are curious in knowing what our clients are doing. So here is where proactiveness comes into role. Documentation plays a very significant role. So in case you guys have taken MS Office for granted all through school and all through college, please do go back, visit the basis, and get well with all your technical skills with regard to MS Office and PowerPoint and Excel, because these three softwares are, these three domains are the must that you must know when you enter into the job, because they help you in a very long run. PowerPoint presentations. I was really bad at doing PowerPoint presentations. I think Mr. Heyman can, speak about that when I was a student. But I eventually got better on the process because I'm every day learning on the job, where I have people to help me out and let me know as to where I'm going wrong and where I can improvise. And lastly, you need to be flexible and you need to be good with taking positive, constructive criticism very well. Uh, Not at all your, thank you, Heyman, but all your efforts. So you need to be really good with constructive criticism and being proactive in whatever you're doing, because that helps you in the long run. Uh, I'm not sure if the insights I provided to you all was really useful, but in case you guys have any questions in specific, I'll be happy to take it up and provide insights on the same.
Guys, if you have any questions, you all can put your questions in the chat box or you can ask.
Because I totally understand. I was in your position a few years ago where I was confused and I didn't know what to do. And I found my calling in PR because, I mean, I really had no idea what to do with regard to what profession to take, because I wanted to do something where I was enjoying what I did. So with regard to enjoying it, it's all about writing. It's about talking to people. It's about not having a fixed schedule throughout the day. And uh, PR gives me my work high, and I'm not complaining about it at all today.
So guys, do you have any questions? Any more questions? Well, I think, Lynn, that was such an amazing and informative session. Thank you so much.
I'm sure that everyone out here will be PR professionals. I'll expect to see them on the other side.
I'm sure. So thank you so much once again for joining us here.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lynn.
It's been a
It was
pleasure.
really nice. Thank you. All right, guys. So thank you so much for attending the session. And let me tell you, we are also building India's first council for mass media communication students. So if you're interested in being a part of it, follow and DM us on Instagram at PR Club India. You can do that. The link is in the chat box, so you can have a look at it. And you can also reach us out on Instagram if you have any questions about PR. So we would love to help you. And yes, thank you so much once again for attending the session and have a great evening. Thank you.